You didn't lose control, you gave it away. It wasn't the words, it was your judgment of them. Anger felt automatic, but it was a choice. He was calm until someone cut in front of him at the grocery store. They didn't look at him. No apology. Something snapped. And if you've ever said something in anger and regretted it 5 minutes later, you're not alone. His voice rose before he could stop it, and for the rest of the day, he kept replaying that moment. But what really happened? He didn't lose control, he handed it over. We like to believe anger is automatic, like a reflex. Something happens, and we respond instantly. But that's not Stoic truth. That's conditioning. Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them." Most people never pause between stimulus and response, but the Stoic learns to live inside that pause because that pause is power. You don't have to pretend you don't feel it. You don't have to fake peace, but you do have a choice to observe, to wait, to let it pass. Anger only controls you if you agree to follow. And most of the time, it's not about the moment, it's about everything behind it. The stress, the story, the shame we carry. Anger is just the smoke. The fire is elsewhere. So next time your heart races, next time your hands tighten, try asking one quiet question. Is this reaction mine, or was it given to me by habit, by ego, by fear? You're not weak for pausing, you're wise for waiting, because anger may rise like a storm, but you are the sky. A coworker rolls their eyes in a meeting. It's subtle but sharp. Maybe you felt it too, that urge to react, just to feel in control again. You feel it. That familiar heat in the chest, a rising tightness in the jaw. Your mind wants to strike back a look, a tone, a cutting comment. Not because you need to, but because they got to you. And just like that, you're no longer in control. You've become predictable. See, when you can be provoked, you can be controlled. Most people walk around with their buttons exposed, labeled and blinking, say the wrong thing, and they react. Cut them off, and they explode. Disagree with them, and they crumble. Their peace depends entirely on other people behaving correctly, which means it's not peace at all. Musashi trained himself to be untouchable not by being cold, but by becoming unreadable. Still, silent, unshakable. You couldn't insult him into reacting because he had nothing to prove. That's the Stoic way. Not to become passive, but to become immovable. When you know what moves you, others can move you too. But when you master your inner space, no one owns your emotions but you. There's a kind of quiet strength in not rising to every insult, in not letting a stranger on the internet decide your day, in not letting a look, a word, or even disrespect dictate your dignity. Next time someone tries to get under your skin, let them try, let them push, let them perform, and you stay still, stay watching, stay free. Because they only win if you flinch, and real power doesn't flinch. He walked into the room late. Everyone turned. He said nothing, just sat down. No rush, no apology, no defensiveness. Something in that silence shifted the air. People expected dominance. What they got was stillness, and somehow that was louder. We've been taught to confuse power with noise, to equate strength with volume, presence with force, confidence with display. But real power doesn't need to be seen at just island. The Stoic doesn't win by pushing harder, but by needing less. Stillness is not weakness, it's restraint. It's the discipline to hold your fire when your ego demands reaction. It's the clarity to sit in discomfort without needing to fix it. It's what Marcus Aurelius trained for, to be like the rock that waves crash against, unmoved, unbroken. We think power is expressed in speech, but sometimes it's proven in silence. Not the silence of fear, the silence of someone who doesn't need to announce themselves, the quiet of someone who already knows who they are. Dominance needs an audience. Stillness doesn't. There's a deeper kind of strength not in winning the moment, but in mastering the self. Not in always being right. Not in controlling others, but in no longer being controlled by them. So the next time you're tempted to assert, to defend, to prove, ask yourself, what am I really trying to protect? If the answer is ego, maybe the power is in walking away. She stared at the message on her phone. We've decided to go in a different direction. It wasn't just a job rejection, it was a plan falling apart. She'd done everything right, said the right things, showed up early, stayed late, and still, no control over the outcome. We like to believe we're in charge, that if we just try hard enough, care deeply enough, prepare well enough, things will go our way. But Stoicism begins where that illusion ends, because control was never yours. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoic doesn't aim to control the world, only their response to it. Everything else. Most anger doesn't come from what happens, it comes from our resistance to it. We don't rage because we're hurt, we rage because we didn't want to be. We don't shout because we lost. We shout because we couldn't accept losing. Control is a story the ego tells to feel safe, but peace lives in surrender. That doesn't mean giving up, it means giving up the illusion. It means doing your part, then letting go of the rest. It means accepting that you're not the director of the movie, only the actor who chooses how to show up on set. So, the next time life refuses to go your way, pause. Don't push harder. Don't collapse. Just whisper to yourself, "This is not mine to hold, but I still choose how I carry it." And maybe that's all the control you ever needed. He wakes up at 5 a.m., not because it's easy, but because it's cold. No hot water, no phone, just silence and discomfort. Every morning, the same. And over time, something changes. Not the world, but him. Stoicism doesn't glorify pain, it simply understands its purpose. Discomfort is not the enemy. It's the trainer, the sharpening stone, the mirror that shows you who you are when comfort is gone. Musashi slept outside, avoided fame, trained without luxury, not because he hated comfort, but because he refused to be ruled by it. Marcus Aurelius rode in palaces, yet warned against softness of the mind. Because when life gets hard, and it will, you fall to your level of training, not your intentions, your conditioning. The Stoic practices voluntary hardship, not for drama, not for applause, but for resilience. A cold shower, a skipped meal, a day offline, not to suffer, but to strengthen. You learn to sit with hunger, and realize you won't die from it. You feel the urge to argue and choose silence instead. You delay gratification and discover peace behind the craving. Discomfort in small doses is the weight you lift to build mental muscle. And each time you choose it, each time you lean in instead of escaping, you remind yourself of one thing. I am not owned by what I avoid. That's not punishment. That's power. He sat through the whole conversation without saying a word. They insulted him directly, laughed, tested him. He listened, but didn't respond. They thought he lost. But he knew. Silence isn't surrender. It's discipline. In a world that expects you to react, silence is power. We've been trained to believe that silence is weakness, that if we don't defend ourselves, we'll be walked over. But the Stoic sees it differently. Silence is the refusal to play someone else's emotional game. It's the stillness that comes when you no longer need to prove. Not every battle needs your presence. Not every insult deserves a rebuttal. When someone tries to trigger you, sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Because silence isn't passive, it's precise. It creates space. Space to breathe, to observe, to choose. In that space, you stop being the puppet and become the watcher, the one who decides when to speak and when to walk away. Musashi didn't shout before he struck. Marcus didn't write to argue. They both understood that composure cuts deeper than anger ever could. So next time you're tempted to speak just to defend your ego, pause. Let the noise pass. Let the energy dissipate. And when the world expects you to explode, surprise it with stillness. You've made it through the storm not by shouting, but by standing still. Remember what Marcus said. You have power over your mind, not outside events. You can't always stop the world from pushing, but you can stop yourself from being pushed around. Even if nothing else changes, you can. Just one honest word for you, like still, or free, or trying. And if this video helped, subscribe to stay in the room. The Stoic Room. Calm, strong, unshakable.